What do you make of that, Al? Godzilla!
Hey Rangers, welcome to Super Report Reviews. My name's Steve, and today I'll be going over the SH MonsterArts Godzilla 1962 from the film King Kong vs. Godzilla. We just put out the review of the NECA 62 not too long ago, which I figure is awesome. So hopefully this guy is up to par, because MonsterArts is easily one of my favorite toy lines to collect. And with the NECA being such a good figure as it is, and easily one of the best ones that they put out, hopefully this guy is going to keep up the trend of the MonsterArts being a little bit better than the NECAs, or well, actually pretty clear cut for the most part. So we're just going to get into it anyways. Main reason I picked this up is because it's just easily my favorite suit of all time. I know we'll never see a Kong. Just sort of like the NECA copyrights, you know, what have you. So it's kind of sad. Some company needs to just like make a gorilla that just so happens to look like the Toho Kong. That would be great. But anyways, without further ado, for the packaging's pretty standard stuff. It's kind of sad you can't see the figure inside of the package. We'll get into that in a bit because he's actually been unboxed, but it's something that would be nice for some of these guys, especially to inspect certain things. But you do get the Tamashii quality stamp on the front there. Little slashes on the cardboard. Opposite side of the package, Godzilla's 1962. Opposite side, you get him in a nice little front pose. Back of the package just shows him doing some poses, his breath effect, bunch of stuff I can't understand on the bottom, and some legal mumbo jumbo with the bluefin label. So anyways, it's going to open up out of his cardboard prison. Alright, so now that we got Godzilla open up out of his cardboard prison, first and foremost, we're going to go over his one accessory, which is his breath effect, which I do believe, because I don't actually own it, but I would have to look it back up. But I think this came with the dusty version of the 1964, which gives it more of a traditional looking atomic blast that shoots out of his mouth. I noticed though a lot of people are like, they're transitioning to calling these heat rays again, because they don't want to use the term atomic for this. But I'm going to call it Atomic Blast. It's just kind of what I've just been accustomed to, especially with the old Treadmasters and what have you. It's kind of more like an Atomic Ray, perhaps, but still really cool. Actually, pretty fitting compared to the MonsterArts one, which is more smoky looking, like more fiery smoke, and is definitely a hard white. This actually has some tinge of blue, which I actually personally like a little bit more. Arnez is more of a fan of this. But this just looks more accurate to the movie, and I just kind of like the condensed looking of the beam. Also comes with a Tamashii X stand so that you could hook to it, which just pegs in on this hole on the bottom of the stand. And just looking a little closer at it, this is a nice shade of really light baby blue coloring. You get a little bit of the white peeking through, and some little bit of effects to kind of make it look more like a beam. In front of it's got a little bit more white going on, but overall pretty nifty little effect. And then for a closer look at Godzilla himself, one thing I'm gonna have to bring up, and I'm gonna have to bring it up now, mine has some fudged up teeth, as you can see, which is why I was kind of hinting at the beginning that it would have been nice to be able to actually see inside of the packaging to get at least some semblance of a look at the Kaiju. Granted, it was shipped in, so that wouldn't really matter, but it's still a nice little thing to be able to do, especially if you have, with this guy being a Bluefin product, being able to actually look into it. Now, a lot of the web shop exclusives and stuff have the enclosed packaging, which is fine. That's why I know it's supposed to be a thing. But still, it'd be kind of nice, because that is something I'm going to have to definitely touch up on this guy now. And a lot of that, it shouldn't be a big issue because he can't even fully close his mouth, so the teeth shouldn't really scrape. But for some reason, they kind of stopped carrying on the top section there. Also looks like the tongue's missing a little bit of paint there too. But maybe not, because you go look at the roof and the mouth, like it all kind of blends together. Because for the paint job for this guy, it's very subtle. The colors aren't quite as contrasting as what you see with the NECA, but one thing I want to bring up is the coloring is definitely more suit accurate. Because, for instance, you'll notice that the nails aren't really painted on this guy, which is correct for the movie. Because when you watch it, everything kind of blends with the suit outside of the dorsal spines. Same with on the toes here as well. For the eyes, what's really cool is that they're actually translucent plastic with yellow paint on the undersection, and then the actual like pupil is painted over top. So it gives it this really weird like glass eye effect, which is cool. It also hides the fact that mine looks like it's slightly Google. Not a whole lot. Like you gotta kind of look, and the way that the eyes are designed, it helps to kind of hide that, especially looking at it straight on from the front, which is cool. Head sculpt looks really nice, very suit accurate, has that really Muppet kind of expression, especially with how clean the bottom of this jaw looks. Because when you watch the movie, there should be like a little bit of like an indent on the section here for the suit. It shouldn't be uniform, which definitely gives it more of that puppet kind of look. Something you'd see more on the 65 suit. Anyways, but tongue looks nice on the inside. I think it is separated, so you can articulate that a little bit. For the dorsal spines, there isn't a whole lot of paint on the top section. You get some semblance there at the top, but looks really nice. Definitely more accurate to the film than what you've seen on the NECA, with this spine here being a little bit shorter. I got a little paint missing right there, which is a little sad. Nothing too crazy. Some of that's to be expected. The teeth. Anyways, looks like he needs to go to the dentist. Like he chewed on one too many boats or trains. Trains? Was it trains in the movie? Yeah. For how much I love this suit, it's actually been a minute since I've seen the movie. Opposite side looking pretty good as well. Which for the painting for the spines does look really nice. Kind of wish that they were a little bit more off-colored. I don't think they really needed to be brighter, but like looking at the X-Plus and stuff, they got a little bit more of like a yellow tinge to it, which this one is more grayish. I guess you get a little bit right there. It's got a little bit of a yellow hue, but it's not very consistent between the other spines. And then coming down the tail, oh, that one's actually not painted at all. Stands out when you look at it. I guess the opposite side's got some paint on it, but it's in pretty well right there. Rest of the details coming down the neck, where you get a lot of the suit folds molded into the figure, and then its chest, which isn't as smooth as what you've seen, like, because the NECA one came out previously, so I'm using that as a reference. But the scaling is definitely a different texture than what you see for the rest of the body, with the more traditional wrinkles. The stomach is, I don't know, it's kind of like sandpaper looking. You get that little ridge here for the chest here. It's got a little bit of a beer gut, which is correct for this Godzilla. He definitely was a little bit more of a plump boy. Legs look nice. A little bit on the hefty side, which is correct for the Kaiju. Nails, well, looks like his foot's just like one solid toe. One thing I really wish they would have done with this for the paint job is gave it like kind of like a little bit of like a dirty wash over top of it, kind of like what they did with the Dusty version. But just like in certain areas, like the feet, the claws could have maybe used it, maybe had like a little bit, so it looks like he's been in a little bit of a battle. Because while the paint job is still fairly suit accurate, it's really bland looking. And maybe could have used a little bit more definition, especially when you don't have like the claws aren't going to be painted and the toes aren't going to be painted. I feel like there should have been a little bit more added just to help kind of make him stand out a little bit more on your shelf. Now you're just going to have a lump of charcoal gray on your shelf. And it would have been nice to have maybe like a little bit more of like some brown splashed here or there. And this is probably the first MonsterArts I've gotten since, like, I'm definitely going to touch up his teeth, because that's something standing on my shelf that's going to bother me hardcore. It's not like something like a little nick on the dorsal spines or something like that's kind of noticeable. So I'm gonna have to touch that up. I might actually go over a dirty wash, and then up on our other channel, the Geek Chest, I might show me just touching him up a little bit. I might watch the movie a little bit more intently to try to match up him to maybe like a certain scene or something. But for the tail, pretty traditional Godzilla with your segmenting sections. Each of these are their own ball joints all the way up to here. Undersection of the tail, you get that little bit more smooth texturing. Same with the bottom of his feet are kind of... looks like he's been soaking it in the water a little bit too long. He's definitely got some wrinkling going on there. Godzilla needs to dry off a little bit. And then for the claws, it's weird to see, because some people, especially in the unboxing, were stating like the hands look like they're on wrong, upside down. That's how it was for the movie. Like, especially like, I'll show them next to the X Plus, but the X Plus has the same thing going on with it. And it's just like Godzilla's got some weird hands because he's a kaiju. He's a mutated creature, so it's perfectly fine. But other than that, like, the sculpt is really awesome for this guy. I just kind of wish they maybe would have done a little bit more with the paint, just to kind of make him stand out a little bit more. That and the QC issue, especially with, like, the painting on the teeth, shouldn't have happened. For its articulation, head can look up by that far. And sadly, not that far down. Like, you gotta work that. Like, that's really about it. Like, you get a lot up, but not too much down. Like, with the body, you get a lot more motion using the joint down here, which you actually get quite a bit there. Arm can go up with that. And then it's got a whoop. Got too much of a wiggle for his neck. You get a little bit of a wiggle here for the neck. Same with the top section of the head as well, and a little bit of a rotation. Not too much there though. For his arms can go up about that far. And inwards about that far. Get a little bit of a rotation. As you can see, really nice forward and back for the shoulder joint. So a decent amount of play there. Decent bend at the elbow. A little bit of rotation at the elbow. Rotation at the hand. Can also pivot forward and back. Side to side. Feels like it's on a ball joint. And not too much of a wiggle at the waist, but again, really nice forward and back. No real rotation. Legs can go outwards about that far, inwards about that far. And gotta work the kick. About that far forward, about that far back. Yeah, not too much forward and back. Pretty decent bend here at the knee. No real rotation. Feet can rotate a little bit side to side. Forward and back motion as well. And the tail again, each of these are ball joints, so you get a lot of play with the tail. And you can go side to side as well. Plus what's nice too is that the joints hold the pose for the tail very nicely as well. Alright, so I'm going to spend a slight bit of time here for this comparison, and for our first one we have them next to the X Plus 30cm 62 and the NECA 62. Which again, I feel like, using this to point out, that this one easily the most suit accurate looking of the two, of course, X Plus. And you can see with the paint job, a lot of the same similarities. While this one, green tinge, it's got painted nails. Not quite what you see with the suit, but as you can see, still, there's a lot here for your eyes to catch when standing on your shelf. And the same with this guy, not just because he's big, but you can see here he's got like little dirt spots everywhere on him as well. And I kind of wish that SH MonsterArts would have done the same with this guy. And as you can see, he's actually the smallest of the three and the second most expensive. So it would have been nice to maybe have seen a little bit more going on with him in terms of a color variety on the figure, but still holds up pretty well in comparison. All right, with this comparison, I got a little bit of a dilemma because here he is with the Mezco and the SH MonsterArts King Kong, which Peter Jackson and from Skull Island, and you can see doesn't scale very well with these. Like, that sort of works. Granted, he looks a lot more realistic than this one. So that's why I liked him actually next to the NECA one. In terms of just having like a Godzilla and a Kong be able to fight. Like, they're both stylized a little bit and they work pretty well. But with him being very suit accurate, doesn't really work as well for me. And here's next to some SH MonsterArts figures with Shin Godzilla and Godzilla 1964, which again, has a little bit more going on here in terms of color variety. Granted, didn't need the paint nails, but as you can see, they dusted this figure a little bit. This isn't even like, this is the original release. Again, would have been nice to have seen the same thing going on with this. And here is some other Showa MonsterArts figures with the Mechagodzilla 1974 and Godzilla 1954. And here is next to some Bandai vinyls with Hedorah Final Form and Gorosaurus. And here is next to some SH MonsterArts Alien vs Predator Requiem figures with the Warrior and the Wolf Predator standard version that are currently on loan from a subscriber. So overall for the SH MonsterArts Godzilla 1962, this figure is I'd say pretty run-of-the-mill for the SH MonsterArts figures. Articulation's amazing, Sculpt is amazing. Just wish there was a little bit more going on with it with the paint, and with the paint hiccups that happened on mine. A little bit disconcerting, but for the most part, if the paint was solid for the teeth, I'd be pretty happy with this guy overall. So for this guy, I mainly would recommend this to you if you're a big fan of the 62 and really love SH MonsterArts, then I feel like you won't be disappointed. But if you only really want like one good 62 and you want to save as much money as possible, you're probably better off just getting the NECA for this one, because the NECA one's really awesome, and I actually really like the paint job on it. Even though it's not quite suit accurate, it's still a lot more eye-catching than what the MonsterArts is. But I will say that I'm still very happy with this, and again, I'll do a little bit of a tutorial up over on our other channel once I get around to messing around with this paint. But what do you guys think? If you guys picked up the SH MonsterArts 62, what's your favorite version of Godzilla? Is the NECA one just more you think? Please let us know in the comments. Look closer picture of this guy up on our Facebook. You want to click the link in the description below. We also have a Patreon account, exclusive prints for the channel, and also a t-shirt shop down in the description as well. And help us defeat those kaijus by hitting that like button, subscribe, become a ranger today. See you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.